I define racism as
I define racism as
I define racism
as
making judgments about people based on their skin color.
as discrimination against someone based on race or ethnicity.
A system of oppression based on race.
an action depending on the group of people. Let's say there's a black group on one side and then a white group on the other side. If the white group says something opposite from the black group, that would be something racist.
Let's begin at the Visitor Center. The pamphlet provided states that Northeastern University has 18% international students, 33% students of color, and 49 to 51 male to female ratio. Northeastern University provides 3 multicultural centers: the Asian American Center, John D. O'Brien African American Institute, and the Latino-Latina Student Cultural Center. For the research portion of this project, I collected over 100 responses from students of Northeastern University on SurveyMonkey. When asked, only 47% of students said they believe that Northeastern University is a racially diverse school. Let's see what others think.
Renze Udike.
Hi, my name is Dr. Richard O'Brien, and my position is Director of the John D. O'Brien African American Institute here at Northeastern University.
I'm Richard Harris, and my position is Assistant Dean for Academic Scholarship, Mentoring and Outreach, as well as Director of New Prime.
Just going off of statistics, like there aren't enough of, I would say, ethnic people.
With regard to diversity, I think Northeastern has a good representation. The question is whether or not it's equally or equitably distributed. Might be a different question.
The traditional diversity that people have looked at maintaining over the years was really about having a diversity of people who were from the United States or domestic. And all indications are that those numbers are either flat or have dropped, particularly for African Americans and Latino students.
50% of students said they had seen or experienced racism. Let's hear some of those stories.
My name is Llewellyn Fambles, and I'm studying computer science and business.
My name is Derek Dujanfe. I'm a fourth-year Northeastern University student, and I am a computer science and communication studies major.
My name is Jasmine Glinton. I'm a fourth-year student. I'm studying communications with a minor in social entrepreneurship and business.
My name is Layla Habib.
We believe racism here is not as bad as some other universities. I'm from the South. I see a lot of racism daily when I'm home, and I have not experienced it here to the same extent, if at all.
Maybe this is just me thinking too much, but I've experienced a lot of times when I sit near people, mostly white people, they'll move their stuff. Especially in snow, like if someone has their phone out, they'll move their stuff away. Or they'll either move it or they'll try and disguise it as moving it. Like they'll get it for a quick second and then come back and sit down.
I can't say that I've directly received or been subject to racism. But again, sometimes ignorance of a person and their identity can sometimes contribute in a way that seems like a racist or ideology or perspective.
Here at Northeastern, I don't think I've experienced any flat out racism. Microaggressions, yes.
Well, I have experienced racism once on this campus. I lived in Ivy last year, and the proctors have to obviously swipe your card, and I've noticed that they look at your photo. It's almost like no, like, she doesn't go to Northeastern, she can't go to Northeastern. And I would turn around to see if they would look at the white students card, and many times that was not the case.
Yeah. Actually, going off that, I remember last year, I lived in 337 Huntington, and it was kind of late at night, and I came into the door, and I gave the part to my card. He looked at it, and he was like, "You go here?" I was like, "Yes, why would I not go here?" And he's like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah, I go here." Then he checked the book, which says you see all the residents there, and he checked. I was like, "Okay." I waited. I was like, "Really? You doing this right now?" So he checked. He was like, "Oh, sorry, I just have to check." And then that's the first time that's ever happened to me, but I know if it was a white student coming at that time, it was only like 1 a.m., he would not have checked that.
I think socially aware students would protest, but the majority would kind of like brush it off as like being offensive, but wouldn't really do anything at Northeastern. It would just be a handful of students who would really be offended and who would go out of their way to protest, but the majority I don't think would like go out of their way to make the oppressed group or marginalized group feel part of Northeastern or feel welcome or feel welcomed. So.
I think Northeastern would behave in a similar way, because even now, like, with the events happening at Mizzou, like organizations like the NBSA and other African American and African people of color groups have come out to speak in support of those at Mizzou. So I do think it's possible that they would react in the same way, since there's a support group.
I feel that since Mizzou happened and all these other insurrections happened, people should be better educated about it now to react to it differently than maybe the president of Mizzou who resigned. I feel like if our school's president saw this event, he'd step in.
Students, as well as Dennis's family, gathered in the John D. O'Brien African American Institute to talk about the plans for the following day, a citywide search of Boston.
So I'm just going to do a moment of silence for a moment of time. Please, thank you. I personally knew Dennis. I've known him since freshman year, and I personally started hanging out with him a lot more often last year and this year.
I knew Dennis from freshman year as well.
A good example that I heard was that if this was President Ayoun's son, what would be the case? I feel like there would be a lot more notoriety to the fact that he's missing. I feel like there'd be posters everywhere. I feel like all the teachers would know, all the students would know. But it seems that with Dennis being missing, only the black community knows. And if the white community does know, it's something that or the white or any other racist community does know. It's something that just gets brushed off very easily, very quickly. For instance, I was handing out flyers or putting flyers on the computers at was it Snell, and some of the students ended up using some of the flyers as mouse pads. And I feel like if it was another student of a different color, that would not be happening.
I understand the school's position on not wanting to have that public image, but I also feel like it's one student, and students are not going to choose to not come to Northeastern because of this. Because it's not like this is a case independent to Northeastern. Students go missing all the time.
The picture, I'm not sure if you saw the flyer, but the flyer they used of him, his picture kind of looks like a mugshot. I don't think if it was a girl or a white girl or a white boy, that would be the picture they used for him. And to me, it's a little bit ridiculous.
Let's see how Islamophobia compares to racism following the Paris attacks.
I identify as African American and Muslim. Islamophobia. I haven't experienced Islamophobia much, and that may be because I don't wear the headscarf, and so people don't really know that I'm Muslim unless it comes up in conversation or I say, oh, I gotta pray. I feel that I'd be discriminated more because of my religion rather than my race, because I feel that the thoughts that are behind Islamophobia and such things, they're much more dangerous in a way than because you think of Islamophobia, you think people thinking Muslims are terrorists. Muslims, like 9/11, did all these things. They kill people, they do suicide bombings, all that stuff. So it's more of a dangerous threat. I feel like you can't call one worse than the other because they're both parts of a person's identity.
In conclusion, only 1/5 of the Northeastern community is uncomfortable with talking about racism. While this may be a problem now, hopefully in the future, we'll see those numbers decrease to nearly 0%. Because if we're ever going to solve an issue as large and systematic as racism, we're going to need everybody on board. I'd like to thank everyone that helped me with this project, whether it was providing an interview or answering my survey questions. I appreciate it all.